with Hangouts on Air, but it's looking like this thing's gone live. So, welcome everyone to another edition. Oh, now I can see it on YouTube. Another edition of the Four Guys with Quarters podcast. Sorry, it's been a while. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus here. I had to travel abroad for a couple weeks to visit some, sick family and stuff. So we had a couple weeks where we didn't have a show, and then life is just catching up, but we're back this week, episode 169. We got the usual cast of characters here for the podcast. We've got making his 169th straight appearance, ZPCI Assassin. What's going on, bud?
Sup?
There you go. We've also got Italian Clownz with his mic muted. I'm not sure if he's there or not. Oh, he is. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, internet? Don't forget to sign that link if Daz posted. Very good link. Also, Assassin's been very sad with no podcast, so glad that the three of us are back together and we can do this show.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be moving very soon, so it's been kind of stressful with that life. So got to plan very short term to get all my stuff and move to a new setting. But the positive of that is I'm going to have gigabit internet, so streams galore and no hiccups, so that should be good. But what have you guys been doing since I've been gone? I mean, I haven't talked to you guys really too much because I've been super busy, catch up with work and this whole moving fiasco. So what have you guys been playing? Like, what have you guys been doing?
We've got back into Sea of Z's, or Thieves as it should be called.
There you go.
The very extremely boring game called State of Decay 2.
We will get into that tonight for sure. One thing I forgot to before Clownz says anything, one thing I forgot to mention, because it's been so friggin' long since I've hosted a podcast, is that we are now a Inner Circle affiliate. So we are part of the Tick team, and we're glad to have been given that opportunity. Clownz, I think we talked about it last time on the podcast. We talked about how Clownz has been writing some comic and entertainment articles on the Inner Circle Network site. So, Clownz, you want to, before you tell us what you've been doing the past couple of weeks, you want to tell us about what you've been doing for Tick?
Well, the last 2 weeks, I want to say, I'm kind of on a medical hiatus. For those of you that listen to the show, you may or may not know, but I have myasthenia gravis and narcolepsy, and sometimes the myasthenia gravis gets a little out of control. So the past 2 weeks have been rough for me. But prior to that, I was doing comics on there. A lot of great articles. I hope everyone checks it out. Check out the articles, especially the one with Jeremy Whitley, the writer of Sea of Thieves. He's at MomoCon right now. Really cool dude. Check out his stuff. Check out all the Tick stuff. Great people, man.
Yeah, we'll have a link down in the description for some of Clownz' stuff on there, and of course the Inner Circle, the Tick network. Glad to be a part of it, and glad a bunch of guys over there that have always been friendly to us and have other good podcasts and entertainment programs. It's a pleasure to be a part of that group, and they've really come a long way with giving very professional and good content. So, like I said, very glad to be a part of that. But Clownz, what have you been playing since we last came on this show?
Well, to be honest with you, Inferno, I always like to either play with you or Assassin on Xbox most of the time. So I've gotten Assassin a little bit back into Sea of Thieves. He was dragging his feet a little bit. And I'm like, Assassin, we got to get chickens. And he's like, okay. But yeah, Sea of Thieves, a lot of State of Decay 2, Assassin's Game of the Year. We'll talk about that later.
Snooze fest.
So that's what I've been doing, man.
Cool. Yeah. Like I said, State of Decay 2 is definitely on the table since, I guess it officially came out this week. You got a few days, I think 4 days early access if you got the more expensive version, which I think only was $60, right? And the regular version is only $30 or, included with Games Pass as well. So there's a variety of ways that you can pick that game up if you are interested, but we will get into that in a couple of minutes here. We're also going to talk about Sony versus Microsoft E3 strategy. We're almost at E3. Just 3 weeks from now, we'll be, discussing all the conferences and what the different companies have had to show and who won E3 and all that good stuff. And of course, as gamers, we love this time of year, and it gets us really excited. Some of us more than other Assassin, you know what I mean? So we'll talk about those differing strategies because they're approaching this thing completely differently, which I think is pretty interesting. And also, both Black Ops 4 and Battlefield 5 had reveal trailers / live streams that have revealed some pretty, exciting things coming for both of those titles, and both of them are releasing in October, which is becoming the new November of gaming, I guess. So we'll talk about that, and a few other bonus topics, but those are the main ones for sure. But yeah, State of Decay 2. Now, I gotta be honest, I haven't played much of it because I was gone, and I didn't have my Xbox with me for a couple weeks, and then coming back to work this week was I just didn't have a lot of time to play. But I've watched a ton of live streams and talked to a few people in DM about how much they liked it, and Assassin included. And Assassin, I think Assassin may be actually the most negative about it that I've seen. So I'm gonna let him go first on this, and I know people in the chat are already saying that State of Decay 2 is no good, but Assassin, I'm surprised you didn't like this kind of game. I thought this would be right up your alley.
Yeah, so I've never played the first one. Well, I played a little bit, I guess you could say. So I got in the second one. I put in a lot more time than the first one, probably just only a few hours. And I've noticed a trend. So you start at your home base, you walk, like, let's just say 10 minutes of walking, let's just say. That's over exaggerating a little bit. You find like 8 things, your backpack's full, on all the way back, you drop all the stuff, and they're like, now we need food. So then you walk 10 minutes back and then grab like 8 things and come back. Like, that just is so boring. Like, I'm sorry, I do not care about any of my survivors. Like, they always want something from me. Like, I could give them 8 things of food, some water, whatever, and they're like, now we need this. I'm like, I have to go somewhere else, grab something else again, and come back just for someone else to complain that they want something else. It's just a whole long walking back and forth. There's more running than a Battlefield game. And if you play Battlefield, there's a lot of walking and running.
Well, definitely fair points. I mean, definitely fair criticisms. I think that's one of the things when you get State of Decay that, you kind of have to know you're in for, because that's the kind of game it is. But nonetheless, I think the way it's been advertised, you don't, especially the way they advertised it at E3, I feel like, this was a zombie game that, should be approachable to the masses. And, not really much was talked about, I guess, on big stages about how much of that survival stuff was really there. And yes, State of Decay has always been a game like that, and that's always kind of been, what like subgenre of zombie survival kind of fit into. Like, you kind of have to expect that, but at the same time, can't you have like a dumbed down version for people that don't want to spend so much time, caring about other people and babysitting? If you have to mind your own hunger, you have to mind your own thirst, you have to whatever, fine, sleep, whatever. But, once you have to take care of other people to the extent that you have to in this game, I feel like a lot of people are just going to get sick of it, like you. I mean, I feel like they could have really benefited from a version of the game that maybe like an arcade style of the game where, maybe you don't get all the achievements or anything, but it's more approachable for people to play than the version that came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I don't know.
Like, if there was a version of this game, Assassin, if there was like an arcade version, right? So like, game comes out, it's $30, whatever, that comes with certain expectations, as we all know. Game comes out, it has 2 versions of the game. It has the true survival State of Decay experience, and then it has this arcade version where maybe you care about your own thirst, your own hunger, and all the people just follow you, and they do their own thing, and you don't, maybe like the hunger and the thirst thing is significantly reduced. Like, you only do it like once every hour or something like that. is that like something you'd be more into now that you don't have to take care of so many people, or you don't have to always be thinking about eating and drinking and whatever? Or is it still not your thing?
I mean, certain games I think can do it well, but I feel like State of Decay is about, all that, trying to, have that full simulator of a zombie apocalypse, trying to save other people, trying to, be their, butler and get them food and water and, give them medicine or, wash their feet or something. Like, I doubt you can do that part, but, I feel like if that goes away, like, then you just got a game where you're looting with no purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. I think a lot of people, when they saw the E3 trailer and, they heard about, 4-player co-op, which we'll get into how stable that is and how great that is in a second. But I feel like when people saw that, they kind of got excited for this to be a game that you can just like pick up with your friends and go and share an experience that, especially so much of the content that they showed was really like how difficult the enemies were and the execution styles and all that kind of stuff that got people excited. And I feel like that would draw people in. But then again, you take it'd be like having a loaf of bread and taking the center out,
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. And, part of me agrees, but at the same time, like I would totally be into an arcade mode where I just go out there and just kill shit. You know what I mean? I could get into that. Clowns, what do you think, bud?
On State of Decay 2?
Yeah.
I want to say that I like it. I think it's an improvement since the first one. The biggest mistake that Undead Labs did was come out and say, like in 2016, I think it was, that this was a AAA. Definitely isn't a AAA. It's more like a AA game. But I like the base building, the community features, the legacy quest. I like the fact that I got to try and survive, craft stuff. I'm not even as far as like some of her other friends like El Boogie, where she's got like cars maxed out and stuff. I haven't even gotten there, but I'm having a lot of fun. Jizzle's right though, some frame rate issues here and there, a little bit of glitches in the gates. It's not a perfectly polished game, but it's a lot of fun. And for $30 or $9.99, why not?
Yeah, I think if you have Games Pass, you look at this a little differently than if you were to shell out 60 for it or even 30. I mean, $30, I think even with the glitches, like $30 is acceptable. People bought PUBG right from the get-go, and that was an absolute mess, in my opinion, out of the gate playability wise. It looked good, and so does State of Decay. It looks great. But I don't want to get down like this rabbit hole that you should expect problems at $30. But I mean, I think $30 is a price that they wanted to entice people with to buy this game, even though they knew that there were going to be problems with it. Because I feel like they just had to get this out the door. Like, where was the content last year? For first party stuff from Microsoft, there wasn't a lot of it, so they felt the crunch. And I think State of Decay on this roadmap of release schedule was almost like a push out to just get some content rolling and get people excited for first party stuff. And maybe it would have benefited from a delay. Like look at Crackdown, right? Delayed into, holiday 2018, and now potentially going to get delayed again into 2019 because, if they release another game that's, an unpolished mess, I mean, what kind of reputation is Microsoft going to get, I don't know. I feel like you can kind of expect this to get better. Obviously, I mean, the right minds are behind it. Microsoft's behind it. But there are certain things that I think may be unfixable, such as the co-op. I don't see the co-op getting much better, especially if you're playing with friends like in the UK. We all play with friends. I mean, look, UK Dazarus in the chat. I mean, great guy. If I were to play with him on State of Decay, I think, I'd rather, eat myself than, kill zombies. Like, I'd rather just bite my hand off because it's such a mess on the co-op. But
you definitely have a good point on that, Inferno. I think the co-op was like an afterthought. This thing is more like, it feels more like a single player game. Sass and I did a little bit of co-op, not a whole bunch, but Like even for example, search and stuff, right? He can only search certain things, and I can only search certain things, which is completely ridiculous.
Yeah. That's the problem. It's like they wanted to build this co-op in. That was a huge selling point in the game. We've talked about that before on the show, and people are excited for the co-op, and then for some reason or another, I think it just really boils down to the fact that it's not server hosted and that it's peer-to-peer connection. But there's a really a lot of playability lost and that you expect from co-op games now. I mean, we'll talk about Battlefield 5 in a second, but if you look at the improvements Battlefield 5 has made by pushing stuff over to server hosted assets, like you look at State of Decay and you're like, holy shit, is this game, something from the last 10 years? It's so primitive on the co-op functionality that it's like, you had to know that this was going to happen, that people would be upset about that. Yeah, people are loving it. I see some stuff in the chat, and I've seen stuff on Twitter where people say, I have no issues, it's fine. Like I see the problems that other people have, and I'm okay with those problems. Well, that's true with anything. Like, certain people will be upset with, how PUBG ran, or certain people will be upset with, what Sea of Thieves has to offer. But then there's other people who are okay with it. So, I just recommend you get with Games Pass, to be honest. I think Games Pass is just a great way to play these games, just because, it's a subscription you have probably will have anyway if you see the value in that, and it's only $10. Cancel it whenever, it's a good way to try it. So, anyway, let me go to the chat here for a sec. Jizzle says that he played PUBG the other day and the frame rate's better. And that, State of Decay by comparison has some really bad frame rate issues and he won't touch it until it's fixed. I'm seeing a lot of people say that, and I feel like what I've seen so far, it's running worse than I saw it at PAX. I can't believe that, but it just looks like it is. I don't know what they've done, but I know a lot of people are having frame rate issues, and I know people who got early review copies are having pretty bad frame rate issues too. So I don't know. I'm gonna play it on PC primarily, probably if the frame rate stuff can't get resolved. But okay, let me see. One last thing here. WDFC podcast, great show, by the way. I have been following Undead Labs, and they seem passionate, small studio, but will definitely support. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you can only expect so much, but at the same time, a company like Microsoft should have, and probably did, play test this kind of thing and know that, they had to either put more money behind it, more brilliant minds or something to get this thing going. But all right, anything else about State of Decay 2? I mean, I haven't really played it, so I can't offer too much in terms of my experience with it, but
there's one thing I want to bring up.
Yeah.
When Clownz was bringing up the whole co-op searching thing, we totally forgot the best feature when you search and it like screws up and it makes so much noise and you clear out all the zombies around you, and somehow a zombie from like across the map hears you like shuffle some papers. That's just so great feature. Love it. And I'm being sarcastic here, if anyone has a guessed.
Yeah, you know what? You're right about that. It's so frustrating hearing everyone complain. And I'll say it again, I haven't really played too much of it because of time constraint. But from everything I've kind of watched and everything I've talked to people about, it's like, why build in the ability to like search things quickly and slowly if even the smallest little bit of noise is going to attract zombies from so far away? That's frustrating. That's a frustrating thing that doesn't need to exist. It's something that people just universally don't like. So it's kind of like, okay, I hope they patch that, because that's going to be something that drives people away in big numbers from the game. So good point. Other than that, I really don't have too much more to say about State of Decay. I'm really upset with the fact that they didn't have like two modes to play. Like, why don't they have a performance mode and a graphics mode? I think that would have really helped with the frame rate a lot. But It's not really a competitive game either, so the performance mode wouldn't have made people, cry about having advantages with frame rate or anything like that. And you saw how successful it was on stuff like God of War, like you're playing on pro, you put into performance mode and how buttery smooth that is, even in sections that make the graphical mode really crawl. So yeah, that's State of Decay 2. I would say try it. I would say use your trial of Games Pass if you have one, beg from somebody for like a trial of it and just try the game, because you may like it. Like, we're complaining about these things, you may not care about them at all. So
or you might fall asleep because of all the running.
Oh, you may fall asleep because of all the running. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so David SNC says fast search spawns zombies, slow search attracts. Is that actually true? Because I didn't think that. I thought slow search, the whole point of that was, not to really attract the zombies. Yeah. Fast search spawn zombies. If that's true, that's bullshit.
Yeah, either way, it's annoying and it's not needed.
Wow. Wowee. Yep, Dad says it's true. Unbelievable. Fast search spawn zombies. That shouldn't spawn zombies. And that's the thing. Like, if it were server side hosted, even if it were peer-to-peer hosted and you had to download all the zombie data from the host or whatever, the zombies that are there should be the zombies that are there. I mean, we're gotten to a point where you can have so much stuff on screen. Oh, hold on a second. We have the police. Run. Jeez. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, you have all these games with so much stuff on the map already established, and you can't have these zombies kind of like in their sections already established. Why must you have spawning hordes of zombies for fast searching? I think that's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, Chewy Candy in the chat says, if you really want to rebuild humanity in the game, you have the ability to decrease the spawning of zombies in the game. That's an interesting thought. I wonder how they do that. They'd have to like build that into the story in some way. I don't know how exactly they do that, but that's interesting. And when you kill a zombie, it should be permanent. Like, why do they come out of thin air? Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know why. I don't know why you would spawn zombies out of nowhere. I mean, that was kind of like a shtick in Left 4 Dead 2, or Left 4 Dead. Like, people thought that was kind of cool, but I mean, not in a game like this. I mean, this is so focused on surviving, and it's hardcore survival tactics and stuff like that. So, okay, last comment really quick. David SNC says, zombie spawning increase, and then you don't clear hives and infestations. Well, that's fine. Like, that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that, but coming out of thin air, I have a problem with. Yeah. Like if it's a problem with the way you clear the map, or the way that you just skip over areas that are already infested, and then they just populate there because of that, because you're not clearing out the map properly, or you're not playing the game properly and setting up save areas or whatever. That's fine, but I don't know. I have to play it more, but I'm still interested in it. It's just I'm very disappointed that the co-op is so gimpy, because that's kind of what I was looking forward to in the game, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, moving on. Another topic of interest is games coming out in October are looking really good. Even CoD, right? Assassin, I know every year you say to me, CoD, I'm not buying it.
Last year.
Last year, yeah, that's true. Last year we were into World War II, and I think that was a great COD. It still is.
Still playing that.
Still is, yeah. Still is an excellent. But a lot's changing. A lot is changing with Black Ops 4, and they had the multiplayer reveal trailer. They did a multiplayer, or not even multiplayer, but they did a just a general live stream that was about an hour with Vanderhaar and all of his gaggle of goons joining him on stage to talk about the game. And noticeably absent was a single player. Obviously, we knew that wasn't going to be there, the campaign, but they went into some serious detail about the zombies that I think is very attractive and almost can replace the campaign for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people are going to be really happy with it. So, what did you like about the reveal assassin, the reveal trailer and the live stream?
I like that they're taking more of a team type of a squad type gameplay. You got the operators or whatever they're called in this game. You can only have one each, like Siege, but they apparently from what I've been hearing, they complement each other. Like you can, there's this healer that can heal guys. You got barbed wire, so people coming through, kind of like World War II, where they're slower. They might take maybe a little bit damage. This other stuff. You see their health bars. Stupid little things like that can you can kind of work with your team to win the game, not just I'm the soldier, I'm going to drop a nuke on your guys' ass and we're gonna win because I'm the best. That's from what we've seen, that's not gonna. It could still be a thing, but it's not going to be a huge thing that we've seen.
Dude, to that point, I didn't hear them talk about score streaks hardly at all. Now I saw some first look multiplayer gameplay, things from I think VentureBeat had one and Game Ran or something like that had one too, where they showed that there are score streaks, but they didn't really talk about it too much in the trailer. So I think you're right about that. I think there's definitely going to be less of a focus on Moabs and shit like that. But go ahead. What were you saying?
I think the healing mechanic in this game, which is a lot different, auto health regen, you have to push, I think, what is it, L1 or left bumper to inject healing meds into you. I think that will be a different change of pace. I don't know if I like that just yet. Kind of have to, play the game just to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's nice to actually have control of your health. If you might not want to heal, you could push up and die, games these days. But in the past, you had to sit and wait for your health. Now you could just eject something and boom, you have, health regenerating or instant regen, depending on the ability you have, and you can just go on and get some kills.
Yeah, and you have to make that decision whether or not you want to keep pushing now, or whether or not you want to drop back and push that button and heal, and then you lose that ability for a little bit. So that if you do that, this is it. This is kind of your last shot, because you can't just push up, fire some rounds, drop back, heal, push up, fire some rounds, drop back, heal. You can't just lather, rinse, repeat, for lack of a better way to explain it. You have to. Health is so strategic now, and I think that's kind of the focus of COD. It's kind of going towards a Battlefield theme in that regard, that there's a lot of strategy, especially with what you said too with the different classes that you can be, the different not operators, but kind of like operators, right?
I think they actually are called operators.
Are they really? Wow.
I believe so. I mean,
oh my god, bad.
I guess it's better than calling it something else that's stupid. I mean, Rainbow Six Siege, they're operators. But I think they kind of just they're taking that kind of idea from Siege a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, man, I gotta be honest. My favorite COD of this generation of consoles is definitely Black Ops 3, and I think Black Ops 4 looks like it's gonna even be better.
Yeah, I think taking away that campaign, as much as I like playing the COD campaigns, even if they're cheesy and boring, like Black Ops 3's campaign was pretty bad, but World War II's campaign was pretty good. I think all those extra resources put into zombies, which when we get to zombies, I mean, they actually look like they, took those resources and did something with them. And then with the campaign, or not campaign, multiplayer, we don't know exactly what they're doing until we actually have a full game, because they're not going to reveal everything.
Right.
But
right.
Having predictive recoil, which I don't know, many people know, like a lot of guns, when you shoot the gun, like there's some recoil, yes, but it could be like if it's vertical recoil, sometimes when you're shooting, it could be like not as much recoil, or sometimes you're shooting at to the ceiling. Sometimes it's very random. Now this time you actually get that. You know how the gun works, and not every gun's gonna have the same recoil. You gotta learn it, which is nice.
Yeah, people joke around that Call of Duty doesn't have any recoil, and then with World War II, it's a little more recoily, but people, you can't even like really learn how to use a gun per se, because the recoil was very low predictability. Like, you knew if there was horizontal, you knew if there was vertical recoil, okay, that was predictable. But like you were kind of explaining, Assassin, is 100% true, is that there wasn't a predictable path at really at all. And even if like bursting, like sometimes you'd fire a 3-round burst and you wouldn't know if that produced a lot of recoil or not. Sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. And it's kind of like, okay, I don't even know how I can burst fire this weapon. I don't know how I can really handle this weapon. I'm just, firing just to kill things, and I'm not really planning on how to use my gun. I think that's something that this predictable recoil thing is really going to make people do. I mean, people are going to like practice with weapons. They're going to know the recoil. They're going to really be able to master these things to a point where very strategic the way people fire weapons now, which is so against what Call of Duty's all used to be all about. It's just like, it's just such a shift to strategy. It's insane.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you heard, but they're adding like the I think it was in Black Ops 3 when he shot a sniper, you could kind of see the trail of the sniper bullet. Like, they're adding that to like a lot of guns, which I've been seeing, like that could lead. That was probably created for the battle royale mode, like so you can, because Call of Duty games, it's hard to not tell where bullets are coming from sometimes, front, behind, whatever. So now you can kind of see where they are, and plus the healing mechanics I think were made for battle royale, not maybe for the multiplayer, but for the battle royale.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't have a auto regen health in a battle royale game; it just doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, we'll get to the battle royale in a second, but yeah, I mean, I think they've just put so much more dedication how people should like use strategy in the game from all regards. I mean, even like that weapon stuff, the weapons are all like 3D existent models that will show so much more now. And like one of the cool things was the not the lens flare, but the muzzle flash, like lighting up rooms and stuff like that, and hallways. And you're just taking like so many more visual cues when you're playing a COD game now. It's almost like you're playing more like a Battlefield game, because like in COD, you literally would just like hold down that sprint button, slide, wall jump, and like just shoot shit. And now, there's so many more like indicators you have to be worried about, and not worried about, but like paying attention to,
Yeah.
It's crazy. Clownz has been quiet on this topic. I know he's a COD veteran too, and right from the beginning. So, what do you got to say about this?
I think for once in the past, I think Jill said it best, that COD is pretty much over and done with. It's just, how many times can they rinse and repeat the same formula? Missing the single player campaign is a bummer for me. I really like the single player campaign. And I can only hope that for Assassin's sake, they added in later for $60 extra, maybe 7 missions in single player for $80 extra, to help support the game and keep it going in case nobody buys it. But it does. I'm gonna say
well, it's a Call of Duty. Like, it sells more than anything every year.
I know, but analysts are predicting there's going to be 25% less sales this year.
It's probably going to be those 25% that maybe play the campaign. Let's be honest. I think they even had the stats. I even looked. 22% beat World War II. I forget. They even had stats like for Black Ops 4 or 3. My bad. It was the lowest out of like all the recent COD campaigns. Like, why? I'd rather have a game that has no campaign, but puts all the resources and puts a bunch of stuff in the multiplayer, zombies, and battle royale than having a campaign that has World War II multiplayer and World War II zombies mode with one map. Like, I'd rather have a zombies game as like 3 maps, all these options, and all these other stuff put into the game than a mediocre campaign.
Why can't they just make a single player zombie story and then add multiplayer to it, like after you complete the campaign in zombie? I mean, that'd be
the
kind of
zombie
cool.
story is tied into the maps. If you have the Easter eggs are a story. They, a lot of if you pay attention to, like, just the some YouTube videos that tells you the story, like they'll even say the story in the game. There's that story there, and I think Advanced Warfare had a pretty good zombie story. Not many people know it because they don't do the Easter eggs or play the zombies modes or even buy the DLC.
Well, now they're going to be forced to, right? I mean, like the people that are craving that single player, that 22% of people who beat the game and now are, craving a single player, they're going to have to try out zombies, especially after seeing what they saw in the multiplayer, in the reveal, the live stream rather, where those individual zombies reveals that they did looked like campaigns. Like, I think that's the most like quote unquote, I don't know, campaigny, for lack of a better term, reveals that they've ever done for zombies. Like, yeah, people who are zombies diehards like know the stories of zombies, but they're pushing this zombies thing. They're pushing the narrative of zombies to everyone now. I feel like that's like, I feel like they think that is the new way to present campaign in shooters. And granted, some people may like that, some people may hate it, but I don't know. They're like putting all their eggs in that basket,
and they're giving the options even for like new players that don't even know how to play like a first-person shooter or have friends to go into the game, set it up, make it super easy. Change the spawns, change the health, add AI players to help you.
Yeah, you can do zombies with bots now, Clownz.
Yeah.
Wow. It just amazes me the desperation that they do.
Well, okay. I mean, that's a fair take on it, because, I don't know the stats on how many people, have kind of abandoned zombies over the years, because obviously the highlight of zombies was, back in the day, not even like most recent ones, right? But when people like talk about zombies modes and think like fondly of it, they're thinking back to like the old Black Ops, the old, World at War, like, older games. It's not like people, and like you said Assassin, because you're a diehard, you were like, oh, well, what did you say? Like Advanced Warfare had good zombies, right?
Yeah, I mean, it had a decent story.
But like, when you ask people, who are kind of like casually into zombies, like, oh, what was the best zombies? It's like, they're talking about the old games. They're not even considering what's in the new stuff. But like now, right from the get-go, like right from this reveal thing, right from this live stream, it's like pushing that zombies narrative. I mean, shit, more of it was like an hour long, and like half of it, if not more, was about zombies.
I'm glad that they gave more resources to zombies. The zombies needed more, like I said, resources. I mean, one map, sometime, depending on the game, 1 map, 2 maps, 3 if you count Dead Ops Arcade. But these are like actually fully fledged maps. They got their own Easter eggs. They have all the options to change things, make it easier, harder, bots, no bots, solo, co-op, whatever. And it shows that maybe we don't need a campaign.
What do they call it? The most replayable COD game of all time or ever, or something like that?
I think zombies, or it could be COD. I don't know. I forget what it's on.
Well, either way, I mean, I say this all the time that it'd be cool to get into it, especially you guys who know the ropes and, can ensure that, we're not going to just bow out after like 10 seconds. But I do want to check out the zombies modes. And I think like the way they presented it in that live stream really made me interested. I mean, I feel like they've finally put like so much effort into it to the point where it's like almost sinful not to like not play the zombies mode now. You know what I mean? It's like a core aspect of a COD game. I feel like that's what they want to do now. I don't even know if there'll be a campaign ever again in COD.
Well, they said in interviews like this could be total bullshit. They didn't plan for a campaign for BF1, but they said they still. I don't think they said they still want to do a campaign, but they're still like open for more Treyarch campaigns, and they can't speak for Sledgehammer or Infinity Ward. So, but I bet you like probably 100%, unless Call of Duty Black Ops 4 sells more than like anything that they've made ever, which it won't. That they'll remove it, but in the future.
Right. I mean, other than that, I think it looks good. I think the graphics look good. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell from what they showed, but I mean, the battle royale mode sounds really cool. I mean, it sounds like they're literally taking every asset that they've ever made and just like throwing it into this battle royale mode and said like, fuck it, here we go. Like we're throwing all our eggs into this battle royale basket because we know that's really popular. And, I'm kind of excited to try it. I'm not going to lie to you. Kind of excited to try it.
I think their take on the VR mode is going to be an interesting one if they can get the player count right. Because, there's these speculations and rumors. I think one was 140 just from that map that they showed. Like everyone counted of how many people are dead and how many people are alive. And then I think there was a rumor going around that 64 players on the VR mode. And then some people are like, oh, it's only going to be 18 because Call of Duty can't handle it. Well, World War II, you go into headquarters, you have 48 people on that small map.
Right.
Like, I think they can handle at least 48 players. I wouldn't be surprised with 48.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a higher player count than 100. Depending on the size of the map, like you can't really like that in that live stream. It really was like a one last thing kind of moment. You know what I mean? They didn't really expound too much on it, but I feel like once they do and they show what the scale on the map's going to be, depending on that scale, I think. Oh, what are you gonna say? Go ahead.
They said it was 1,500% larger than Nuketown. And there's a video, you can watch it. It's on YouTube. If you go to Drifter's channel, he his math could be off, but he calculated the size of Nuketown. Like he did all the math. He shows his work, and he compared it to Fortnite's and PUBG's. PUBG's is massive. Then Fortnite's is almost the size of. If you look at the map that first launched PUBG, it's about the size of the military island and some of the stuff up top. And he said that it could be from a little bit smaller than Fortnite's to a little bit bigger than Fortnite's.
Okay, well that would be friggin' massive for a COD game,
Yeah. So who knows if the engine can run it, because their COD engine is super old.
Right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I'm definitely interested in the battle royale thing, and not just because it is trendy, but because, I feel like it's just something that you have to check out for a COD game. It's like, how are they going to do vehicles like water vehicles? How are they going to do all these land vehicles and air vehicles and everything existing on the same map? Like, how are they going to handle all that? It's so different from, what we're expecting or what we've expected in the past. So, I mean, it feels like you almost have to try it,
Yeah, I hope they put it in their beta, because I feel like that's a mode we need to test. Because if it comes out and it's broken like Headquarters, I mean, Headquarters was in World War II was a completely different story of, everyone connecting at Headquarters at the same time. You're always in the server, doing all this stuff, so on and so forth. So yeah, hopefully they can get the servers better this time.
Yep.
But let's test it.
Yep. I agree. Apparently Total Biscuit just died today. You see this?
No.
You know what Total Biscuit is?
No.
Wow, you really don't know who that is?
Nope.
He was he got famous for being very outspoken as a gaming critic. And then he started podcasting some stuff. And I guess, according to the notes in Kotaku's article, he passed away of bowel cancer.
Wow. He was young, too. That guy wasn't old at all. How old was that guy? He must have not been like, was he even like 40? He was young.
Yeah, very young. Maybe
he also
roughly
goes
30s.
by, yeah. Wow, really sad. He's also, what's his other name? Like Cynical Brit or something like that.
Yep,
Cynical
that's right.
Yeah. That's I remember more as Cynical Brit than Total Biscuit, but holy shit. Very sad. Bowel cancer, 30-something years old. Unreal. That like totally just broke up our Call of Duty conversation, but we must move on. I love how people in the chat are like, who? Daz is like, who? Clownz just posted the link in the chat for people that don't know who it is. But yeah, I think other than that about COD, I mean, there wasn't really much else. I mean,
there was one thing that they should have brought up is their DLC plan. They now, when you pre-order the game, you can only pre-order one version unless you're in different countries. You can pre-order a different version that comes with like a statue, but it doesn't come with the season pass. You can't, go on the Xbox store. You can't buy the $100 edition that comes with the season pass. You can only buy the $60 version. So, like, are they gonna finally adopt what's the word I want to look? Free DLC to all players? Because I know, like, COD World War II, like, Clownz and I have the second DLC that came out like a week or 2 weeks ago. And you go on those playlists, like, it can take a while to find a match. If you go on like normal playlists, not so much. But I mean, it would be nice to play like the DLC with like you or someone else who doesn't want to buy the DLC, but we can still play the game or not have these stupid practices Activision has, where if you have a DLC installed, the only people you're going to be playing with is the people who have the DLC installed. So if you have the first DLC and the second DLC, but you have the second DLC installed, you're going to play with the group of the people that have the first DLC, or you have the first and third. You're only playing with those people. It's like so stupid how they do that.
Yep. It was like a foregone conclusion back in the day that you bought the map packs, and now it's just viewed as dividing the community. And we'll get into Battlefield 5 right now because they've changed a ton of shit too. And in my opinion, this may be a very unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, a lot of the stuff that they changed is not good. I think it's gonna upset a lot of people. I think when Battlefield in the past has changed things very drastically, people have not taken well to it. An example of that was back in the Battlefield 3 beta, where I don't know if you recall playing the Battlefield 3 beta, but in the beta, when you reloaded, you lost the entirety of your clip. So if you fired like 3 rounds and then reloaded, your whole clip was gone. If you had 31 rounds in there, you got a full fresh mag, but that mag that you had before is gone. And people went apeshit over that. I mean, people just like trashed them for that. And to the point where they reversed it within, a couple weeks when, the next beta came out or whatever. But, Battlefield fans like really don't want things to change drastically. And I think Battlefield 5, from what we've heard, is a huge divergence from past Battlefield games. And one of the changes that is very well accepted is what we were just talking about, which is the fact that the DLC is going to be free finally. So no dividing the community there, but man, where do you begin with this thing? I mean, it looked so good. I mean, the settings World War II, the graphics looked awesome. The destruction looked great. I couldn't even believe that was, like gameplay. It was just so dynamic. Like we say this every year with Battlefield, but this year really, like, the destruction and the movement of characters and the interactability and stuff was just so dynamically fluid that I could not believe that was in game, and yet it was. And like I would say that was a really exciting and cool thing to see, especially with how customizable the characters are. I mean, it's not just like pre-canned outfits and stuff like that. I mean, everyone really looked really different in the map, but man, you're gonna have to talk me off the ledge with some of this other stuff.
I think it'll be fine. Like until people get their hands on it or we see it in action, I think it'll be totally fine. The health thing, I don't know yet. If people don't know, your health doesn't regen. It's not like Black Ops 4 where you just stick a needle and you regen health. It's more on the lines of like if you play Star Wars Battlefront 2, the hero health system. So if you hit 100 health and you get shot like at 50, your health could regen to like 64. So there's those like milestones of health that it can regen, but it won't regen to 100. The only way to regen to 100 is from medics and supply crates that you can find on like flags or the support things you can get with your squad, which I can get into later. So I don't know about that, but I think everything else is pretty good. Like the squad, where if you're like if Clownz, you and I are in a squad, and Clownz and you die, and I'm not even a medic, I can revive you both.
It's gonna take you an eternity to do it, but I mean,
yeah. And then like I could pick you up and then like throw you behind some cover. Like I think that is pretty cool. I've been wanting that since like Battlefield 3. Like I swear I heard someone say that was going to be in Battlefield 3. I thought that was just the coolest thing ever, just to pick up your friend and drag them behind cover and then revive them. No more, I'm just going to revive Inferno in the middle of battle and he's just going to die.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is cool. That is cool. I mean, that is one of the positives. I definitely agree with that. I mean, I'm not too crazy about anyone in your squad being able to revive you. Granted, if you're not a medic, you can only revive up to a certain health and it takes longer and all that stuff, which fine. Okay, great. But I mean, there's some other things that are really sketchy, like the fact that you can't area of effect heal anymore or area of effect get ammo. Like you have to actively look at the crate, pick it up, turn back, fire, actively look at the crate, pick it up again. You know what I mean? It's like everything is so active in this game.
I feel like that would brings into a little more, I want to say team dynamics, where you can't just place a bag down and then you have like this healing circle where everyone just camping around it, having a good time. Like having like you get thrown meds or pick the meds up. I think that adds a little bit more realism to the game. I mean, we kind of have to. It's one of those things like the health. We have to see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? It might be the worst thing ever, or it could be a nice welcome.
Well, the nice thing is that they kind of detailed too, because they released this trailer that was pretty long, and then they kind of had like backdoor meetings, if you will, with some YouTubers and stuff, and released some more information. And I guess in that information that they kind of talked about, they discussed that a lot of these changes are made server side now, so you don't have to wait for patches like traditionally on Battlefield games. Like we'd be waiting for patch 1.01, which would update this, and this, and you'd read through a huge change log and see if your complaint was fixed. Whereas now it looks like so much stuff is server hosted that they'll be able to make changes on the fly really quickly. Like, for instance, the thing I just complained about, the fact that you have to look at the backs and pick them up or whatever for healing and for health, for ammo rather. Like maybe they can change how quickly that's done. You know what I mean? Like if I'm looking at that ammo pack and I pick it up and it's the difference between me like taking down a guy and this guy like getting away really far off into the distance where he's out of my shooting range. Like if I have an SMG or something, I'm going to be pissed. Like that's going to really, really piss me off because, you have this guy dead to rights. He's fleeing. He's running away. You run out of ammo or whatever, right? You have to turn around to pick up some ammo, get it, reload, You know, you have to pick up the pack, then you have to reload, and then by then, you know, the guy could be double the distance from you. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna annoy me. And granted, like, you know, granted, that's gonna make you become a better player because you're gonna have to realize that and fire more accordingly and maybe not waste so many bullets. But at the same time, like I'm not actually in World War II. I'm playing a video game, you know?
Yeah, but I mean it adds that difficulty. Like we don't want like, you know, you pick up Call of Duty and just, you know, be decent at it. You know, they gotta add some difficulty to it, you know. Have to, you know, watch your ammo because there's not going to be as much ammo in the game, or watch your health, like in like Rainbow Six Siege. You know, watch your health and have, you know, your buddy give you, you know, throw you meds or something. I mean, it could be like, what was it? I think they were in not Black Ops for a while. Battlefield 4, those little, you know, med and ammo pouches. Just chuck one at someone. Like it could be probably that, you know, that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean. Like I said, it's one of those things we just have to play just to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta be, you know, me, I'm guilty of it too. You gotta just be careful to, especially with like betas, you know, reveals and betas and all that kind of stuff. You gotta be careful to judge a game off of like early content, you know. I just don't. I saw this trailer, I saw the info, and I just think to myself, you know, how could this possibly work in a way that is not going to be disruptive to the game? And I can't think of it. And that's why I'm kind of like making an early judgment on this thing. But you're right. You just got to wait and see it. You know, I'm sure at E3, there's going to be a ton of more info. There's going to be people capturing gameplay. There's going to be people there playing the game. You know, we're going to see how it, see how it works out, but whatever.
I think the one big gameplay change that they're making is, I think, will piss a lot of people off. If a grenade goes off in your face but doesn't kill you, it can push you back, or other explosions could push you back. Like, I don't think that's gonna be as fun as it sounds. Like, yes, it's maybe realistic. I've never had a grenade blow up in my face, but you know, having
sure.
Yeah, I'm sure, but
okay.
You know, having, you know, that gunfight and then you fall backwards. Like, I believe you could still shoot when you're, you know, on the ground, but depending on how their grenades work in the game, because you go in Battlefield 1, everyone's just chucking those suckers left and right, grenades everywhere.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to like throw them back and shoot them in midair now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought that the grenade shooting in the air, I don't remember a game ever having that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Now having to shoot down a plane with it, like you saw in the trailer, highly doubt that will happen much.
Yeah. Definitely not. But yeah, I hear your point on that, because then you get into the discussion, like how close will it be? Like, what is the radius of that? You know, like people complain nowadays about grenades killing them from far distance. Now, you know, I can just assume that there's going to be a further distance away that you could possibly get knocked back. You know, if it's not close enough to kill you, but it's close enough to knock you back, is that distance going to be like ridiculously far away? Like how, you know, how if you get like disoriented from a grenade, you kind of do in games these days. Like that's not a new thing, but at the same, but getting knocked back to the point where you can't retreat, like that's going to be annoying if you think that you're too far away and that just happens, you know. That's going to be really annoying. Clownz, any thought on the Battlefield trailer or anything on Battlefield? Or
no, I completely skipped it. I'm more excited about the woman on the cover. That I can't wait to play as that character, and get a lot of sniper kills from the distance.
Yeah, that woman on the cover is looking good. Kind of interesting that a lot of these games are like, you know, not that I'm not inclusive of women gamers or anything like that, but it's kind of interesting that a lot of these games now are kind of like pushing women to the forefront in games that you wouldn't think, like war games, you know. Like, did you hear, I don't know if you caught this, Assassin, but on that reveal stream when what's his name, Vandahar or whatever, said like you can take her down like when he was talking about the multiplayer and he was like referring to the enemy that you were fighting against, even if it wasn't like a woman character, he said like her. I thought that was kind of weird. Watch it again. He does it a couple times. Like he's like, oh, if you're fighting against an enemy and you do this, whatever, you can take her down or whatever. And I'm just like, oh wow, okay. I thought that was very interesting because you never hear that like 3 years ago, you know. Anyway, I mean, that's pretty much it in Battlefield. I highly recommend people watch the trailer. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could talk about. I mean, and go at length about with the changes, but it's definitely a lot of stuff that is hard to swallow. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think are going to really piss off Battlefield diehards.
There was one that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, good. Yeah, please.
Have you heard about the grand operations?
Yeah. Okay, so explain that a little bit.
So operations was in Battlefield 1. It was a mode that it was like a big rush type mode, 64 players, and it went across multiple maps depending on the campaign you put. But in Battlefield 5, I want to say 2 for some reason, Battlefield 5, they're bringing that to a whole new level. So they're taking like a little story into multiplayer where like there's going to be obviously different maps, but you could have like one campaign like you'll do where let's just say that you're the Americans. You're all in planes and you have to parachute down as the airborne behind enemy lines to take down some like artillery cannons, as I heard someone say. Yep. If you lose, you go into the next round where your previous action of taking maybe even just one artillery cannon down, or none of them, like that situation can impact like your next round. So maybe you don't have many tanks, or maybe not as many like guys, but you have like more explosives, or to take down tanks, or it just impacts. And then you can get to the third match, and from what you did there could totally change. And then there's they said a chance, not a guarantee, a chance that you could go into a fourth mode that there's 64 players and you only have one life, limited ammo, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost like what's that mode on Battlefront that you go, each area is like significantly different what you do. Well, Operations is kind of like that too, but like they're just taking it to like last year was about Operations, was about building that kind of gameplay into Battlefront a little bit, and now they're kind of like taking it to a whole new level where it really like how you do in the first section or second section really will carry over and like completely affect the next section. So it's so different every time you play it. It's like that's the problem I think with Operations mode on Battlefield 1. That is like, I feel like since the sections are so similar, it's almost like people play it the same exact way. It's almost like Operation Metro on Battlefield 3. Like I feel like everyone like camps the hallways and chucks grenades and blah blah blah. And I feel like Operations, like not every map on Operations on Battlefield 1, but a lot of them you will get people playing it the same exact way. And it's like, okay, now you've taken the point out of it. But in this mode, I feel like it's just impossible to do it like that. I feel like every time you play it, it's going to be completely different.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, EA or DICE can go into the settings and just change it up. Like maybe you destroyed all the artilleries and now your troops arrived on the beach. You could have like just a bunch of explosives, one match, and then you do it the next match and you just have a bunch of tanks, or just change it up, make it a little bit more interesting.
Right.
Way make it harder.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the possibilities are really, really endless for how DICE wants to do it. And like I kind of said earlier, is that the server side stuff makes them able to change it so quickly on the fly. I mean, the server side stuff that they're doing is going to allow them to dynamically change like, daily and weekly challenges at a very high rate. And that's gonna just all this kind of stuff interwoven is gonna increase the playability of the game. And like Battlefield 1, I think is one of my favorite Battlefields of all time, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but even Battlefield 1 being one of my favorites, I still get burnt out on it. And I feel like these changes that DICE have built into this game, I feel like it's going to be so much harder to get burnt out on it because it's going to be different. So there's going to be so much different from day to day when you play, or from match to match even. I'm really excited to check it out, but I would have been more excited if the gameplay from Battlefield 1 stuck and then they enacted all these changes. Like I'm really worried about a lot of the stuff on Battlefield 5 just because it's just so different, like that changed from Battlefield 2 to Battlefield 3 back in the day. Like you were afraid of change, but then again, it made sense. Like this just doesn't make sense to me so much. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a worrywart about it, but
maybe there's just a lot of change. Like, but the Battlefield 3 thing on the magazines, like that was a small change compared to Battlefield 1 to 5. Like, there's so much like new mechanics and then changed mechanics, and it kind of is overwhelming a little bit. Like,
yeah,
you know how Battlefield plays, and like, oh yeah, no limited ammo, oh no health regen, oh all these other things. Oh, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, and there are big YouTubers out there, like Jack Frags and such, like doing videos about all the things that have changed, and they're literally talking as fast as an auctioneer, and their videos are still like 20 something minutes, like with all the changes, and it's kind of like, holy shit, there's really that much that's different about the game that I'm just afraid that the core of Battlefield people are just gonna be pissed about it. I don't know. Maybe they'll love it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
hopefully the beta is sooner than most betas that we get.
Well, no, they already said it. June something, right? June 9th or whatever.
I thought that was for EA Play.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yep. No, you're right. I don't know why I was saying.
Usually the betas are like a month before. Like, you can get some work in, but like, let's get it like a true beta, maybe like 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe even have it in June. Like, I don't know, have what we see in the EA Play. Like, they'll probably have one map, maybe two. Like, let's have that, like we had for Hardline, or have one in like July or August, because we need one probably before Call of Duty, because Call of Duty doesn't really need one except for the VR mode.
Right. Yep. All right. Oh, good. No, good.
There's one more thing I want to say. I don't know if you've seen the article. I forget who it's from, but it's from a legit, place like IGN. Well, this is IGN legit. There's no loot boxes in Battlefield 5. None.
Praise the Lord Jesus.
Game is trash. Put it on fire right now. No loot boxes.
You're the one who wanted loot boxes gone. Like, you're saying us all these links like, Germany or whatever.
No, I didn't say I wanted them gone. You misinterpreted that. I predicted that they would pass laws against them. I never said take away loot boxes. I just said they're going to be passing laws against them, and I gave you guys, the legal use that they could do about minors, the different laws in different countries, and I was like, this is what's going to happen.
Dude, this is a reaction to all that shit, Like, this is definitely companies worried about having to alter their games, because if all this shit didn't go down, like, yeah, if people bitched about it, whatever, they make the change, whatever. Some companies would, some companies wouldn't, and people would just have to accept it, whatever. But now that it's gotten to like a legal level in a lot of countries, I think these companies I think loot boxes are gonna be going the way of the dinosaur, Dan. I really do.
I mean, it's definitely possible. And remember that show we had with Luca when she was a guest on the show, and shout out to Luca. But I predicted it during that show that this would occur. And a lot of people said, politicians probably won't do anything, but they saw votes in it. So, of course.
Yeah, exactly, right?
They went with it.
Anything that'll help them out too, right?
Yeah, that's what
politics. Yeah, typical politics.
And to everybody in the chat, Daz posted a link. I want to bring loot boxes back, and that link will help. And Assassin recommends a thumbs up.
It will literally do nothing because they're not bringing loot boxes back to Battlefront 2.
Assassin,
Especially put heroes behind them.
I want to tell you something, Assassin. I got 5 signatures out of 100, so we're going somewhere.
Congrats.
We're getting there. We're getting there, people. Yeah. All right. Kind of like the last big topic. Dude, have you seen the way that Sony and Microsoft are going to be differently approaching E3? It's just insane. Like Sony talked about, and this was maybe a couple of weeks ago at this point that Sony talked about it, but Microsoft, new details are kind of coming out recently about what they're going to be doing. But Sony's going to focus only on like 4 games or something, like Spider-Man, which is coming out this year, Last of Us Part 2, probably coming out next year, Death Stranding, who the hell knows, and Ghost of Tsushima, which we've already seen a ton on, and or I don't want to say a ton, but a decent amount. I mean, these are all games that we've seen and we know are coming and know, you know, what they're about and everything. And it looks like they're going to focus mainly on that and maybe throw in a few reveals here or there, nothing really too big. Whereas Microsoft, I guess, rumor has it that they're going to have a 2-hour conference, which will be the longest ever. And supposedly are supposed to be showing more games than even last year where they showed 42 games. So it's really different how they're going to approach this thing. And Microsoft had to, you know, move out of the conference, the convention center over to the Microsoft, what do you call it? Can't remember the name of it right now. I'll look it up, but I should know because I've been there a million times. But the like LA Live section over there that they have to move it to in order to show all their games. So it's like Jizzle says in the chat, Sony should just get up on stage and go, yeah, we're still beating Xbox, then drop the mic. Oh man. No, but seriously, like, isn't this kind of interesting how these are different, or do you guys not care, or what do you guys think about this?
I mean, as much as I prefer Xbox or PlayStation. Like, I feel like Xbox needs like those 2 hours to show something amazing because you know everyone's saying, "Oh, Xbox has no games," which isn't true. Xbox has games. They're just not great games, except Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is great on Forza, but I mean, other than that, like, they're okay games. They're not like God of War or The Last of Us, like great games that people remember like 10 years from now. No one's going to remember State of Decay 2 because everyone's going to be sleeping playing it, but no one's going to remember it.
Wow, what? You know, Assassin, negative Nancy right there. That's what you are, negative.
The game's boring, but like I said, no one's going to remember State of Decay 2 in like 10 years. Be like, we need a State of Decay 2 remaster like 10 years from now. No.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
I want a God of War remaster, like, or, you know, stuff like that. Like, we need, Xbox needs like a Last of Us. Not literally Last of Us, but they need a Last of Us type game. Like, really
The
good.
Wolf Amongst Us remaster.
No. That's Telltale. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're exactly. Yeah,
Xbox needs those 2 hours to show something eye-catching, and you know, people are gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
It's funny because, you know, me personally, I saw this Sony thing a couple of weeks ago, and granted, I was not in the country when I saw it, but we heard about this Sony thing, and I thought to myself, "What the hell are they doing? Like, they're only going to show 4 games. And it's games we already know about." But they're doing exactly what you're saying, Assassin. Like, they are putting their eggs in the basket for Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Last of Us Part 2. And obviously, Last of Us Part 2, you know, had Last of Us 1. So, I mean, if it just follows in those footsteps, it's going to be one of those games you're talking about that people talk about 10 years down the line. But, like, by focusing on those games, maybe they're just, like, building up the hype and building up the talk about that, so that maybe by doing that they are really making it so that people will remember those games down the road. You know, people will be constantly thinking about those games. So maybe that is the right move. I don't really know. It's really two radically different approaches. You think of E3 for, you know, for all intents and purposes, E3 for its entire existence has been the same for every company. They come, they show their new shit, they announce stuff that we haven't seen and games in the future, and that's it. And most of what you see is new stuff. And now Sony, it looks like, is just gonna build up the hype train and build up the backing for stuff that people already know about. And for in the case of like Spider-Man, people have known about for a couple of years. I mean, can you just imagine if Microsoft had done a thing where they just like show Crackdown 3, like Gears 5, Halo 6, and Forza Horizon 4 and call it a day? Like they'd be shat on left and right.
Dude, Fable 4, as long as they make it like a AAA title and a massive RPG, yes, it's gonna do well. If they do a AA budget and make it like State of Decay 2, Fable 4 will flop.
Yeah. I think with the State of Decay thing, they're gonna get a huge wake up call. Like, I don't know what they predicted on this, and I would love to hear if anyone knew, or knows where I can see it. But like sometimes companies, well, I don't want to say sometimes because it's all the time, but companies will have their projections and they'll know right away if their projection is going to be hit or not. And I'm just wondering if the projections were high, number one, and number two, if they're feeling good about how State of Decay is doing. I mean, review wise, not doing well. Sales wise, I have no idea. I really don't.
Jazz actually posted something on Twitter saying that State of Decay 2 is actually selling pretty well.
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't think we'll ever know. Like, they don't really post numbers all too well. I mean, they did for PUBG. So, I mean, if the game does well, they might say something, but they don't usually say stuff like that.
Yeah. Not anymore, at least.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I'd love to know, like, you get impressions, even though you don't get sales numbers, you get impressions from people, like, or from companies, whether or not they think the game did well. You know what I mean? That you'll get something, somebody will say like Greenberg or something, or we'll say, or you'll get like Reggie Fils-Aimé on Nintendo come out and be like, yeah, like this hit our expectations and we're excited about the future of it. You know what I mean? You'll get something like that. You don't get numbers, but you'll get something like that. I feel like we haven't heard anything from Microsoft people about State of Decay. Like I have been looking on Twitter. Like, granted, I've not been as active as I usually am, but I have not seen anything, man, from these people.
They're so excited about it. They made a live action escape room on Inside Xbox.
That seemed really pointless. Like,
yes, it was.
That doesn't scream zombie game to me. Like, I don't know, unless they put zombies in it, but.
Yeah, where are they gonna find those, right?
Like the canon for Sea of Thieves for that world record, that makes sense because you can shoot yourself out of the cannon. But
yeah, yep. I mean, it's not even close to the same kind of hype. I mean, obviously, Sea of Thieves deserves more. Deserves a little more hype, and I think AAA versus AA kind of production value. But it's nice that Sony is behind their games with such force and not only just money, but like the ability for them to spend a whole conference talking about 4 games. That just proves that they really trust their product. Whereas with Microsoft, like Xbox people just want to see a ton of shit coming that's unique and that will get them excited to buy stuff again and play games. It's kind of like, is either approach right or both approaches right? I don't really know. Like, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd say the Sony thing is foolish, and now I'm thinking the Sony approach is the way to go.
Yeah, but you get to keep your expectations in check. Like, they said that they're going to show these 4 games. Like, they might show something new, but I mean, we've already got some new from like at least all the major studios so far, and like I don't think. I mean, like I said, there could be some new coming, but there's probably not, at least, to next E3. So they could show these 4. And then obviously they're going to be showing like Red Dead and Call of Duty and any other, games that they have that aren't going to be shown at, like the Square Enix conference or those conferences. So I think their conference will be totally fine.
Yeah. Clownz, you worried about either one of these, or you think they're both gonna be good in their own ways, or what are you thinking?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know what Xbox has to bring to the table this E3. I mean, Xbox One X was a big deal, a big launch, but I don't know what they can come out and say this year besides games. Sony unfortunately always brings like the massive marketing appeal. Yeah, they do show the same stuff over and over, but the hype that Sony does has been more hype than Xbox has done. So I'm kind of worried for Xbox because I think the media is going to slam them no matter what. I just hope that they drop some blockbusters and maybe a massive overhaul for Sunset Overdrive 2. Announce that, get people excited. Fable 4, some epic stuff in Forza. Stuff like that I think would keep the fans definitely thrilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if people are still excited for marketing deals. I know there's been leaks about, marketing deals being announced at E3 for stuff like Borderlands 3 and a new Splinter Cell game. And obviously Battlefield 5 looks like that's a Microsoft marketing deal. I don't know if people are going to get excited for that because that is third-party stuff. I don't know what people are expecting. But with the Sony thing, what people are expecting, now what to expect. And you get to a point where, okay, do I want to see more of the same? And if I do, then it's going to be really exciting, and I'm the hype train is just going to build up. But with Microsoft, you're like kind of uncertain. It's like it could either be really good or really bad, and people say this is the make or break year for Microsoft. But it's kind of like, okay, well, how are you even going to say that when you don't even know what to expect? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on Xbox and Phil at this point, but it seems like no matter what, Xbox is just comfortable. I don't think they're worried about going in guns blazing, like bragging or hyping like Sony does. Xbox is just comfortable where they're at because they're still making a massive profit.
Right.
We all know what they're going to do. They're going to come on stage. We're going to combine Xbox Live Gold with Game Pass, like online features and free, no games with gold, but we're going to raise the price of Game Pass. So, because that makes a bunch of sense.
Yeah, all that nonsense. I don't know what people are thinking these days. I don't know why people are even thinking about that shit. Like, we're E3 time. Like, why are you wasting your time thinking about that?
I think, a lot of people are just complaining because PC guys get Xbox Live for free, essentially. They can use the Party Chat app and just go on these Play Anywhere games. But I think, Xbox Live keeps Xbox profitable. And there's some advantages to having it. I mean, because they can afford to do the games with gold, even if some of them are crappy, at least we still get something, right? And on top of that, I mean, I could see eventually maybe Microsoft combining Xbox Live Gold with Game Pass and maybe making it like the sweet spot would be like $99 a year for both those. If they could combine it like that. But other than that, I don't think it's ever going to go free, not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's because that's where their bread is buttered. Like, we talk about games as a service. I mean, that originated somewhere, and that somewhere was charging for multiplayer and charging for, PS Now and charging for, they've got to generate income, not with the games, not, software or hardware. It's like services that sell, ecosystem stuff, so to speak. But what else? Oh, one thing that kind of got leaked a little bit, and I think Rectify Gaming is the first one that had it. If they're not, I'm sorry who did, but that's where I saw it, was a leaked slide that said Xbox Cloud, I guess, or had the Cloud name with the Xbox logo as the O. So we've been talking on this show a long time about the direction of gaming push to the cloud, and maybe that's going to be part of their 2-hour conference, and maybe people get so excited about that because, as we know, and I know Clownz has been a beta tester for the GeForce Experience thing. Cloud gaming could open up huge floodgates for performance on even base hardware. Like you could have base Xbox One hardware, and if you're gaming on things on the cloud, and Microsoft is leveraged like Mixer and all their other cloud services like Azure and stuff like that, and have somehow leveraged those into a way that they could get a really stable like GeForce Experience like system. You could have like base Xbox One playing like 1080 Ti games.
Yeah, and you make a great point, Inferno, on this, because Steam just announced their app for Android phones that will allow you to play Steam games on your Android phone, streaming within your own Wi-Fi network. But I predict that once 5G comes out, you're going to be able to do it on the go. And I think Xbox sees that move. And if you follow Twitter, you'll see that Xbox execs and T-Mobile execs are very friendly with each other. So I could see something with Xbox going 5G in the cloud on the go for gaming mobile.
Yeah, 5G is going to be, they're saying 5G is going to replace like in-home networks, which is just absurd in my opinion. But I'm not like super familiar with the tech, and if it is, then like shit. I mean, cloud gaming on the go, mobile networks, bringing high fidelity gaming to like an Xbox app, or so to speak, on even like Android and iPhone and stuff like that. If that's the direction that we're going here with this Xbox cloud thing. I mean, they built party chat into like the iPhone, the Android phone. They're just building more features of Xbox, or things you'd associate with like a home console into your mobile apps. Why not bring like cloud gaming to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an advantage for them. And there's been articles already leaking that the Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO has been talking about portable gaming on the PS5. So I think even Sony has something up their sleeve when the PS5 launches on 5G. And I think companies are getting prepared for it, and the cloud's the place to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think we've been talking about that becoming a possibility on this show for a long time, and I know other people discuss the possibility, and they're like, no, well, people would not have fast enough internet and this, that, and the other thing. But a standardized like 5G network where people would have access to high bandwidth wirelessly, I think will do the trick. Especially you look at these like T-Mobile, Verizon, like these people are building out their networks to cover like 98% or whatever of zip codes in the US. I mean, I can't say what the state is internationally, but I know just in the US, like you're getting huge coverage on these networks, and if they can push 5G to all of those by like 2021, 2022, like this cloud thing is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and I posted some links previously on Twitter because a lot of people doubted me, including somebody who was a developer doubted me. But I posted links with proof to articles that show that major telecom companies are on par for the end of 2018 in certain areas in California for home networks. 5G launched nationally somewhere around 2019 and internationally around 2021. And they're claiming as of right now in their tests is getting 1 to 10 gigabytes per second.
Yeah, that's absurd, man. It's absurd. I just can't believe that. I remember the first time I used speed test on my phone and got like over 100 megabit. And I thought that was like crazy shit. I screenshotted it. I like told everybody I knew that would appreciate that. Like, holy shit! Like at the time when I got that, I can't remember what phone it was that I had, but that one time that I was able. I mean, now routinely, like in certain areas, you can get that no problem. I know you Clownz down in Florida can get that on T-Mobile like no problem, but like you get 100 megabit and it back then, like and you thought that was freaking wizardry. Now you're going to be getting like gigabit speeds plus. That's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing, and it's such an advantage for gaming in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You could play 3DS on the go. You could play whatever portable system, Nintendo's going to launch on the go. It's just so many possibilities.
Yeah. Yep. And if Microsoft beats Sony to the punch on this, like that could totally flip the script because I think that is definitely the future. And yeah, people like to hold on to their own shit, and people like to, that's why physical media isn't dead yet. People complain about, I want to own my thing, blah, blah, blah. But, the benefits are just going to outweigh the negatives at some point, and people are just going to have to get on board because the future is in the cloud. I mean, it just makes way more sense. Especially when you want to get everybody to have high fidelity stuff. And if this cloud thing can come to Xbox consoles like very soon, and you have base hardware playing, Xbox One X type of shit or better, I mean, that's gonna be a huge advantage.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, if I can get some type of tablet in the car mounted with a Bluetooth controller, and I use that GeForce NVIDIA streaming app, I mean, on 5G, I'm gonna have a field day. Like waiting in the car line to pick up my daughter at school, I'm just gonna be playing that game.
Yep. Yeah, and like you were saying with Steam, like they definitely have the infrastructure to get that, and they can make the partnerships to make that happen even before Microsoft with Xbox. And you'll still have your PC master race people that want to have their own towers, but at the end of the day, there are going to be people on tablets playing like 1080 Ti type of shit.
Yeah, I mean, we could even get Assassin a better Celeron laptop, and he could start gaming on there with the cloud.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, get him like a fucking Chromebook for Christ's sake. Get him playing some 1080 Ti shit on a fucking Acer Chromebook or something.
Yep.
What else? Oh, a couple other small things before we get out of here. One is Clownz has been checking out Death Road to Canada. That game just came out. That game has been at PAX for the past couple of years. It's looked so interesting, but so weird at the same time. And I guess Clownz, have you been playing? Have you been checking that game out? I mean,
yeah, I dove into it for quite a few hours the other day. Actually, the past few weeks, I want to say. And the game is a blast to play. I'm having a lot of fun on it. It is complicated, it is complex, and it is very frustrating. It reminds me of like a pixelated, and I'm gonna say this, State of Decay with Oregon, yes, with Oregon Trail mixed in, because you're like, you start out with a random character that you could pick. You could change like their hat, their clothes, their facial features, but it's very pixelated. And then you hop in this car you can have a buddy ride with you in the game, like a random buddy, or you can go solo. And during your adventures in the car, it's like, hey, I'm hungry. I need to stop for food. There's a town up ahead. Should you stop? Yes or no? And you choose the yes or no. If you go in, there's a chance you're going to get eaten by a horde of zombies, because it can be very difficult when your weapons wear down. But then you find cool stuff and get better weapons. You get more gasoline for your car. You keep going on the trip. You got to make it to Canada, but most of the time you're going to die before you get there, and hence the name Death Road to Canada. The writing in the game is fantastic. It is hysterical. I mean, it is so on par with humor today with an Oregon Trail type of vibe to it. The stuff that just pops up on your screen, like there's bandits all of a sudden at this bridge, and do you want to fight them? Do you want to make a deal with them, or do you want to try to ride past them? Stuff like that. And I mean, the outcomes are just so randomly generated, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense, but that's what makes this game fun, man. And for its price point, the type of game it is, it's addictive, it's pixelated, it's throwback, it's humorous, great all around, man. I'd give that game like an 8.0.
Yeah, it's I mean, a lot of it is procedurally generated. I mean, it is very random. And Clownz kind of nailed it. And with the Oregon Trail thing, I mean, if you're old enough, or I guess young people played that too, but I associate that with like, people in our generation, Clowns are, maybe even like down to like 25 years old at this point, like playing Oregon Trail and the old like Max and stuff like that. And, the whole goal is to get to Canada, but in this case, it is extremely random. And there's a lot of replay value. No locations are the same. It's just like, and tons of zombies. If you're a fan of stuff like Enter the Gungeon, which was an awesome game, procedurally generated, like twin stick shooter, this is very similar to that, except there's kind of like an end goal, which is getting to Canada. I think a lot of people would definitely like it. And I think an 8.0 is definitely very fair. I think on Steam, this game came out a while ago on Steam, but it's just recently come out for the Switch, PS4, Xbox One. I think on Steam it did extremely well. I think it's like, at least an 8.5 out of 10 on Steam for reviewer scores. So people love it.
One of the things I just want to say about the game too that I thought was, just hysterical when it came up in my game was I was cruising in the car with my random buddy and somebody else that picked up along the road. And it was like, I forget exactly how it was worded, but one of the guys in the car was annoying the other person. So what should you do? Like exile them or sing music? So I chose singing music, and everybody.
And everybody what? Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Oh, that's all right. And everybody was happy again. Like everybody was getting along, mood was happy, and nobody was depressed. Morale was good.
Nice. Love that. Yeah, it's a cool game. And honestly, if you have a Switch, I think it's a perfect game for the Switch. Like pick it up, play a little bit, put the Switch on standby. Continue your quest down in Canada. I think it's a really cool game. I think it works well on mobile. But yeah, I would definitely check it out, especially for the price, like $15 or something. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. You can't complain. And it keeps you occupied for the time that you're playing it.
Mm-hmm. I remember chatting with the devs, I think back in like 2015, they were showing it at PAX, and I remember chatting with them, and they didn't have like the whole like in the car with your buddy kind of vibe going at that point. And the way it progressed over the years, they showed it like over and over at PAX, and I was kind of thinking to myself, like, this game isn't that complicated that you need to show it at PAX this many times, but they really did iterate on the fundamentals and really get it to a point where it really is cool. So I'm really impressed with it. And Assassin, really quick, you have something to say about games recently adding some colorblind options for you visually impaired folk?
Wow. Yeah, so Sea of Thieves got some colorblind one option, to change the red X, which is extremely hard to see, to a white X with a black outline. It pops. It's a good addition. I'm not a huge fan of the white X, but I think I'd rather deal with it than not finding the treasure. PUBG launched an update, I think it was yesterday or early this morning, I forget, with the new map and a bunch of fixes with colorblind options, thankfully. And each of the options I checked did absolutely nothing.
Oh, man. Really? That sucks.
I literally, because the grass and the people are the big problem for me, because it's all light green to me. I'm like, blue-green, or not blue-green, red-green, which is the first option. Nothing changed. Then I go to the next option, which I forget which one it is. It's either red-green or blue-yellow. There's two different red-greens, and none of them worked. And I was super pissed off about that because I want to play PUBG.
Right.
And so if everyone looks like grass, like, I'm just not going to have a fun time anymore. I used to deal with it when it first came out, but
yeah.
I'm sick of companies like this just doing the bare minimum, saying like, we have these options. I know, like Rainbow Six Siege, their update is out on their test server and it's going to come out on Xbox. Like they still don't have any options, but they changed like the colors of like on the top where you have all the operators like symbols. Like they put like an orange or blue background behind it, so it's easier to see. Same thing with the names, so they don't have to add colorblind options, which is fine now. But before, when it was like a really weird like orange red, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I was really excited for you when I saw that, and you were saying that shit about being excited to test it out, and the PUBG thing just didn't work out. That really sucks.
And I said this before, the Call of Duty version of colorblind options is just an absolute joke. I thought maybe they would update it because it was pretty awful. I still can't use like half the score streaks in the game because of that.
Oh my god! I don't mean to laugh, but fuck, that's
I get the ball turret gunner, which is like the highest score streak in the entire game except the V2 rocket. And I'm like sitting over there, like I see the map, I don't see people, so I'm literally just shooting around. Like I think there's one map that it actually works pretty well, and I totally forgot the name of it. I was so happy I could actually see red circles. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I was like so excited. I'm like, I can see people, and then the next game, I'm like, crap.
Fuck. Nice. Oh man. Well, hopefully PUBG gets that all handled because, dude, there are a lot of colorblind gamers that play games. I mean, it's like, you know, a lot of people.
It's so annoying that they just do the bare minimum. Like, oh, we have them, but we don't care that you have colorblind. No, so but we have them.
Yeah. Well, we'll check back on you with that PUBG, but glad Sea of Thieves is now like working out. Dude, if I went to find a treasure chest and I couldn't see the X, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, certain ones like I could see, like if it was like mostly sand.
Yeah.
Like I could see, but like most of the maps are not sand, they're mostly green.
Right, grass, yeah.
To me. So
right.
It's how.
Yeah.
You know, one quick thing I want to bring up before we get off, and it's not going to take too long, is that the DLC is coming out for Sea of Thieves, and it's been a hot topic lately. The Hunger and Deep, May 29th is supposed to hit. If you read the notes on this DLC, one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit as a big Sea of Thieves fan is that the campaign in the DLC is time limited. So if you're a Sea of Thieves owner, you only have a certain amount of time to complete this. And for someone who's got to work during the day or got stuff going on, it may be difficult for them to get all this stuff done in the time frame. They haven't released what the time frame is. But for a game that they want to succeed, putting a time frame or a limit on something that could limit someone's ability to play it is a little difficult for somebody that wants to do the campaign. I think it's a little ridiculous.
I think the use of campaign is totally off-putting. It's more of an event. Like all the features that are coming are staying in the game. They've said that multiple times. That like the drums, the things, all the new threats coming in the game, whatever it is they haven't said. That's all staying. It's like I guess the way they should be putting it. They won't name games like this, but like Overwatch or Call of Duty, they have these events that are tied to DLCs. Like, well, maybe not Overwatch, but like Call of Duty, they just had a Blitzkrieg event. It was for DLC 2. Like that's gone now. You can't get like any of those collection rewards, but you can still get the items. You can still play the DLC. You can still play with the things. They're there, but you can't like earn, certain items. Like for instance, like the MG81 Epic Rare Gun. Like that's a part of the collection. You can't get that specific version of the gun. You can still get other things. Like there's still tattoos. You can still get those. You just won't get Hunger and Deep specific tattoo. Like
but then what's the point? Well, like just to do it, just the new activities.
Like it's just new things in like a month's time. Let's just say it's a month. Like a lot of things are like a month. So there's certain cosmetics that'll probably be gone. Like, but there will still be all the stuff that they're still bringing, still going to stay there. It's just they should be wording campaign differently. They should be saying campaign because it's going to sound like the way it sounds. Like Clownz said, they're going to have this DLC and it's just going to be gone in a month.
Yeah, I agree. That is the way it sounds, and like that's a good clarification that you just said. And for some people, like that's cool, whatever. But like, if I'm reading that, I'm thinking exactly what we're fearing, or that Clownz was saying, is that you only have a certain time to do this, and then it's gone. It's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I get it. The DLC is free. Okay, you can't really complain too much, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you're forcing me to play this at your pace, not my pace. Then I still paid for this game. I should be able to play it at my pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a feeling when it comes out, you know how there's Admiral, like Cutlass and all that, like there's a whole set of gear for like everything. Admiral, whatever, boots, shoes, blah blah blah. I bet you there's gonna be a Hungering Deep like full set. Like I bet you there'll be like a few options for the Hungering Deep and then they'll be gone. But then you'll still get like the drum with all the options we have now, and you know, maybe clothing that is part of, you know, these events that maybe will still maybe not even leave. Like maybe there's just one specific set that you have to beat, like the campaign, as they're calling it, to get, you know, do certain activities to earn these things,
Yeah.
and then they're gone. But you still get to face that AI threat. You know, still do these things. It's just
You just don't get the specific rewards that.
yeah, like you're not getting the Hungering Deep, maybe hat or peg leg or tattoo or, you know, drum. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not a huge deal. Like, maybe if it's really cool and like years down the line, if they're still supporting the game, like, well, that's cool. Where do you get that? Well, you can't get it anymore. I mean, Siege, and for instance, is doing that. Like, they have camos that come out every season, and they're going to start doing that with helmets and uniforms that are specific to that season. Like, they're going to be gone in season 3.
Right.
So, the season 1 stuff that you can get now, if you don't buy it now, you're not going to get it in season 2. It's never coming back.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's not totally a new thing, but at the same time, it sounds like worse than it is. And
they shouldn't be tying the limited event and DLC in the same sentence. They should be saying a new DLC is coming out, and we're also launching an event that goes with the DLC.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think Microsoft has to be careful with that game so that, you know, people don't get pissed. And I think probably should have run that through somebody else before they put it out that way. I mean, it just does not sound. It sounds like so much worse than it potentially is.
Yeah, but like if you see in like any of their videos that they break down, I think they just posted one today about it. It's like 10 minutes long. Like, I mean, they're pretty open with us. Like, they've been open with us pretty much since like a few weeks, at least a few months before the launch of the game. Like, they told us every little thing that was coming to the game. They haven't really lied to us.
Right.
Like, they even told us there's going to be like 3 vendors or whatever you want to call it, merchants, and that's, you know, one's going to be gold, one's going to be skeletons, one's going to be chickens and stuff. Like, you know, they didn't say, oh, there's going to be like 50 crew or things, and then it comes out.
Right. Yeah, and that's why, like, you know, that's part of why people probably expect the worst out of the way they worded it, because they have been so transparent, and now like they see the way they worded it and it's kind of like, okay,
yeah,
you know, you've been so transparent that, you know, we're kind of taking this for gospel essentially, like literally as written, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it has been getting some traction, so people are paying attention and people are seeing that it's written and it sounds like that. So they got to be careful. I think they've got to, you know, they've been quick to like issue clarifications and answer people's questions on Twitter and stuff like that. I think they got to, like, you know, issue another clarification on that so that people don't get too pissed off, because that's something that, you know, making me play a game at a certain pace like that annoys me personally, especially like Clownz said, like, you know, you're working, you have, you know, real life things going on, like away from gaming. You want to be able to play at your own pace. And like for me, I agree with you, Assassin. It's not really that big of a deal not to get the very specific things as long as I can do the same activities. But for some people, like, that is legitimately the reason they play Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, there's definitely collectors out there. I know I'm like some, you know, one in like Call of Duty, like I want everything, but so I totally get why people are a little upset that there's limited items, but then it makes you want to play the game more. Like, if you could get Hungering Deep 20 years from now items, let's just say, I don't think, you know, the game will be pretty much alive.
yeah, I don't think so either.
But, you know, it doesn't make those things as special. Like,
Yeah,
having those things, and they're like, oh my god, that's so cool. And like, I played the game when it like first came out, like the day 1 patch, or the sniper rifle that they just took away for like the first month or 2 months the game's been out.
right.
just to say thanks. Like you won't get those things anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Same thing with the controller, like what Clownz got. He has that set he got with the Sea of Thieves controller. You can't get that anywhere else anymore.
Right.
Everyone has the code somewhere, but you're gonna be paying probably like triple.
Right. Yep, that's true.
And then they also said don't like I feel like they're saying a lot but not saying much when they say don't like this DLC hasn't been made, it doesn't have that much time put into it type of a thing. Like don't expect much. I mean, they said that they started it like maybe a few weeks after the game came out. It's only been out for 2 months. So don't expect, a billion things this DLC.
Right.
Next DLC, they're gonna have like double the time, whenever that comes out. So same thing with the next DLC.
Right. Yeah, because they're working on this stuff probably concurrently. So yeah, makes sense, and that comes with the expectation. I hope people aren't delusional and expect like double the content, or just addition of just like as much content as there was before and customization and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all right, and with that, I think we are done because it's been like the longest podcast ever. Thanks to Assassin yet again.
Usually I'm not talking as much.
I mean, we definitely let him have his corner with Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty for sure.
Oh my god, with Call of Duty. I mean, he had to have him. He had to have a him moment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I could probably still go on with Call of Duty.
Definitely.
But we don't have the rest of the day.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We gotta get back to games, right?
Yep. Sail the 7 seas.
That's right.
State of Decay 2.
Yep. I'm gonna download that. They do not have C's, correct.
No, Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Z's, right?
Yep, Sea of Z's.
Sea of Z's, yep. All right, well, that's the end of our program here. Search us everywhere. 4GwQPodcast. You'll find us everywhere. Back on iTunes, back on your favorite podcatcher app. Just search for 4GwQPodcast. You'll find us. Also on Twitter, if you're not already following us, 4GwQPodcast is our Twitter handle. So you can catch us there and find out when we're going live with not only the podcast, but with giveaways and with other kind of live streams that we do from here and there. Maybe some more Jackbox for Jizzle. Who knows?
Yes. I mean, when's he going to do that again? That was a lot of fun.
Right. We're going to have to do that again. So check us out. Links are in the chat in the description for other things like donation if you consider us worthy of your well-earned dollars. We'd appreciate that, of course, but no obligation at all. And of course, I'll put in the description link to the Tech Network website so you can check out stuff that Clownz written. You check out some of our other affiliate podcasts. So a lot of good content coming your way. So definitely check it out. And until next week, sayonara.
¿Cómo está, paisanos?
Wow. All right.